What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to the MMA Savvy podcast. It's your favorite host, Ari Weiss, and today we'll be discussing UFC Fight Night, Whittaker versus De Ridder, that went down Saturday night on Yas Island in the UAE. Then we'll also analyze the current state of the light heavyweight division. Things just heated up with the announcement of the title fight rematch between Ankalaev and Pereira. Then we'll end by previewing UFC Fight Night that takes place in Vegas this coming weekend. In standard Savvy fashion, we'll go through the card, analyze all the big fights, and drop our official MMA Savvy fight picks. So with that, let's go straight to the card and get rolling. Okay, baby, here we go. Whittaker versus De Ridder, live from the UAE, that just went down Saturday night. It was a pretty damn good card. It might even have been better than the Poirier BMF nonsense card. There is some controversy that we're going to get into about what happened here. Did De Ridder deserve the decision? I think Whittaker probably did enough, but De Ridder was there. It wasn't a terrible decision, okay, Nico? And I will analyze that, but it was a pretty great night of fight, so let's get into it. Let's just go through the main card now. I got to say, I went 5-0. My picks landed. So if you are here for the first time, you're coming to a show that gives you expert picks, baby. Okay, Krylov, Gustav, number 10 in the world, Krylov versus number 13 in the world, Gustav. What a fight. Nico and I had the balls to take Gustav, and we called it. Krylov kind of reeling now. Gustav 4 straight, scary guy to look out for. Now moving up in the light heavyweight division, and we're going to analyze that today. Magomed takes out Ochoa. He's smart. He uses the grappling. He keeps his number 9 ranking. Then as we move up, fight of the night, Shara Bullet Magomed versus Marc-Andre Barrio. And this was a pretty intense fight. I told you that it was going to be closer than the line said it wasn't. Barrio came to fight, man, and he even nailed Shara in the second round with a big punch. Lesser guys probably would have gone down and lost because Marc-Andre was really trying to win that fight coming off the previous win against Bruno Silva. But, man, I got to say, I'm finally really impressed by Magomed to take that big punch and to weather the storm and to come back with his own insane strikes. And basically he did enough to get the unanimous, but what a fight. I wouldn't say fight of the year, but it's definitely up there with like, damn, that was a great scrap. And now like, Magomed, where does he go in the future? The fact that he can't fight in the U.S. might always hurt his chances for a title unless they do the big title fight out there, which I'm sure Dana could do. Okay, co-main event, Petr Yan versus McGee. Yan delivers, number 3 in the world, holding his ranking against a very game number 12 in the world, Marcus McGee. The first round was close. You could have gone either way. I think Yan did maybe just a little bit more with the strikes, but McGee landed also. And then in round 2, Yan really just was unbelievable. Great strikes, just really started putting it on McGee. He solidified, he got round 2, and then round 3, he smartly kind of grappled, and he didn't want to blow another fight late with a bad decision from the history that he's had, so he smartly grapples in round 3 and gets the unanimous, and now he might be there potentially for a number 1 contender spot or a title fight soon. Actually, let's address that right now. So if you look at the rankings, now Merab is the champ, and obviously he's booked against number 4 Sandhagen. But if you see where Yan could go, he's going to be currently at the number 3 slot. I like Yan Umar as the number 1 title contender fight. Why not book that? That's going to be an amazing scrap. Or a Yan O'Malley rematch, right? If they want to get a fight in, because Merab versus Sandhagen isn't till October. So I feel like Yan, stay active, fight O'Malley, fight Umar, fight somebody there. That makes a lot of sense for his next fight for me. Okay, then you get to the main event where the controversy is Whittaker, number 5 in the world, versus RDR, number 13 in the world. Okay, now listen, Whittaker probably takes round 1, but it was very close. I'll show you the scorecards in a second. RDR comes back and gets round 2 and ties it up right when you think, oh my God, Whittaker is probably going to be able to deal with this guy pretty easily. The pressure, the grappling, the strikes, the knees from RDR, really tough. He means business. And then round 3 was the craziness. RDR had Whittaker in trouble early, and then Whittaker lands the huge punch that almost ended the fight. He was a punch away from winning. Nico's still sick about this. Maybe could have stopped it. That's the big thing. It maybe could have been stopped, but I like the no stoppage there. And then the controversy is 4 and 5, right? Because Whittaker's up 2-1 at that point. RDR has more pressure. He peppers him with body shots. I think he steals 4, and you're probably going 2-2 or maybe 3-1 Whittaker. And then the fifth is sort of what's up for discussion here. Now, RDR had more pressure again. He went for a lot of takedowns. He had a couple body shots. Whittaker did have a flurry at the end. So you feel like Robert probably did enough, but he sort of faded a little bit in 4 and 5. He didn't throw enough because he got tired. He was worried about the takedown, and he was more just defending the takedowns, and therefore RDR had better control. He had little pitter-patter strikes to the body, and so I don't hate that it went to RDR. A lot of people are pissed in the fight community. Nico's up in arms. So just like I said, everybody gave Whittaker round 1. Everybody gave RDR round 2. Then round 3 all went to Whittaker. So as I said, it was 2-1 Whittaker. Here's the differentiation. The one scorecard that gave it to Whittaker, because it was a split decision win for RDR, one guy gave Whittaker round 4. The other 2 gave RDR round 4, which I think is probably the better call. I think RDR just squeaked round 4. And then round 5 all went to RDR. This is the one that people could complain about because I think Whittaker did win that final round. So I don't hate the decision. RDR had much more pressure, more control. Whittaker didn't throw enough, so I don't really like awarding the person that doesn't throw enough, and then you're just expecting to get them the decision. So 2 judges went RDR. That's how it went. Sorry, Nico, but this just changed a lot of things. Let's just look at that really quickly. So now, if you look at the middleweight division, maybe the #1 division on the planet, you got Du Plessis already booked with Chimaev, but that's a couple weeks, so you might want to sit and watch this because Imavov, as we know, is booked against Bahalyo. And so the only other person right there, because RDR is going to jump all the way to number 5, is Adesanya. But since the title fight is a couple weeks away, it's almost the advantage of RDR right now. Wait till that fight occurs, and you might get lucky and be able to leapfrog and jump straight to a title shot because the Imavov-Bahalyo fight isn't till September. And so what if the Du Plessis knocks out Chimaev in the first round? They might want to book something right away with RDR, but I feel RDR still needs one more fight, I think, to get it. But sometimes it's a weird musical chairs situation, and you never know. He could get a title shot all of a sudden just from the way the division's playing out. Okay, and we're back to the show, and we're going to do everybody's favorite segment. What makes MMA Savvy so special is the divisional analysis, baby. We're going to take a look at the light heavyweight division today, and there's a lot of news going on because of the booking, so it's perfect timing for the division. So check this out. Finally, after all the wait, Ankalaev versus Pereira 2 has been booked for October. So finally, the champion has a dance partner, so we don't need to talk about that. Ankalaev Pereira booked. Also, Jiri Procházka, #2 contender in the world, has been booked versus Khalil Rountree at #4. Amazing fight. So all of that is finally booked, right? And then if you just shoot down over here, we also have Rocket, who's #7, booked against Mirzakhanov at #11. Obviously, Krylov just lost at #10. Johnny Walker is booked against Zhang Mingyang in August. I'm pissed about that start time, Dana. Okay, so if you go back to the top 5 here, Ulberg, he kind of got lost in the shuffle. No one is booked against Ulberg. So I don't really like an Ulberg-Jan rematch. That doesn't make sense. So Ulberg kind of has to wait unless he wants to fight down because Ozdemir and Reyes are the only ones that don't really have somebody booked. And I think Hill at #6, he said he's going to take some time off, right? So very exciting division right now. Finally, some movement. It was stale for a while, but you got the Ankalaev Pereira, you got the Jiri, Khalil Rountree Jr., like I already said. And then interesting stuff. Reyes is on that run. He's back. Mirzakhanov, Rocket, love that fight. And then the bottom half, Zhang looks like a scary guy. Guskov looks like a scary guy. And Mirzakhanov, we keep talking about it. So there is new blood in the division. There, if Ankalaev wins again, then we don't know what Pereira does. But at least in the same night, we're going to get a lot of answers. So I hope you guys love that. We always do the quick divisional analysis. I wouldn't say say it's a top 3 division right now, but it's in my top 5, and it's the most iconic of all time. Okay, and we have some breaking news here at Savvy. It was supposed to be Taira versus Albazi, and we were about to drop our picks, but all of a sudden, Albazi is out with an injury. Park has stepped in, undefeated Korean superstar, jumping in last second. Before I get you hyped up for the card and we drop our fight picks, I just gotta say, come on, Dana. This is why you can't have light cards. One little injury, and then you got nobody in the main event. You should always have a strong ranked co-main. So then if this happens, you don't have to bring someone in last second that's not even ranked. Either way, it ends up being a solid fight, but this is not a stacked card. This is unacceptable. Let's quickly break it down. Either way, we're going to go through our picks. We're going to rattle them off. Vallejos versus Danny Silva. Vallejos, a rising featherweight star. If you look at the records here, Kevin Vallejos 15-1, Danny Silva 10-1. So this is actually a pretty good fight. Vallejos came in and got a crazy knockout win in his UFC debut against Choi, and he looked really, really sharp. And then if you look at Silva, he's 2-0. He's got 2 split decision victories, so he's another up-and-comer here. If we look at the odds, though, Vallejos is a minus 550. So all 3 savvy bros, Rich, Nico, and Wally, are all being smart and taking Vallejos. By the way, I will be bringing up my co-hosts Nico and Rich just for clarity. So when I give their picks, they're on the show. They're just not on this episode in case people are confused out there. Okay, so that's the first fight. Let's move on here. So second fight of the night, Magny versus Dos Santos. Listen, let's look at the records. It's a decent fight, but it's not Magny from 3 years ago. Magny now, after a bunch of these losses, is 29-14. Dos Santos, 25-9. It's a pretty good welterweight scrap. Let's look at the odds here. Dos Santos is a minus 220. Okay, if we look at the history, Dos Santos is a very scary individual, right? He had been on a pretty good winning streak. He loses to Rude Boy. He comes back and he beats Scroggin, but only to lose to Njokuani. Remember that, Nico? Njokuani looked like a beast in that one, so he's kind of coming off this loss here. But if you look at Magny, who has been a top 15 guy forever, he's really fallen on hard times because he loses to Gary. He has that crazy come-from-behind victory against Malat, but only to lose to Morales and Protest by first-round KO, which is kind of shocking because Magny used to always be able to stay in the fights very long and weather the storm and get crazy grappling. So I'm very torn on this. Rich is taking Dos Santos. Nico's taking Magny, and you know what? I'm just going to hold the fort, and I'm going to take Dos Santos. I just don't trust Magny anymore, so Wally's official pick is also Dos Santos. We're going to go against Nico there. All right, now we do have some rankings. Fine, Dana, we got some rankings. Carl Rosa versus Nora Cornol. 10 in the world versus 12 in the world. Women's bantamweight. So, hey, we got some rankings. Let's look at the records here. Rosa's 18-7, Nora 9-2. Let's look at what Nora's done first. She's been pretty solid, right? She's basically 3 wins in her first 4 UFC fights and a big win off submission last time. If you look at Rosa, she's been very up and down in her career, right? So the last 4, she wins against Santos, loses to Aldana, then wins again, then only to lose to Perez. So she's just so up and down. Rosa is a minus 190. Okay, so Nico and Rich both taking Rosa, but Wally's going to go out of the limb here, and I'm taking Nora, the underdog, the number 12 in the world. She came off that win, and I feel like she's going to do it again for us, baby. Okay, fights are going to ramp up here a little bit more. Elvis Brenner versus Ribovics. This is a good lightweight fight. I got to say, I like the fight a lot. Both are tough guys, tough outs. Brenner 16-5. Esteban Ribovics 14-2. Okay, let's look at what Ribovics has done. Now, this guy's scary. He had lost his first fight, but then he wins 3 in a row. And then if you guys remember, he gets robbed against Hakparas. He won that fight. It was a bad call. So in my eyes, he's really won 4 straight. So this guy's a player right outside of that top 15. Elvis Brenner. He shocked the world against Kudaladzza. Then he won again. So he had won 2 straight, finally to lose to Oralbai and then also to lose to Alvarez. So he kind of fizzled after he had those unbelievable wins. If we look at the odds here, Ribovics is a -280. So I think it's safe to say all 3 savvy bros are going to take Ribovics. That's the call there. That's the official pick. Okay, co-main event, Rebecca versus Duncan. This is a big fight. Let's look at the records here. Rebecca 20-2, Chris Duncan 13-2, both very stellar records. Let's look at Duncan. He had been a little bit up and down, as you can see. He loses to Torres, but now he's beaten Oki. He's beaten Vucinic right in a row. So he's a very solid guy, and he had that underdog win there. Nico was pissed he didn't take him. Then you look at my boy Rebecca, though. Another new Polish power guy coming up. He's basically almost won every one of his UFC fights except the knockout loss to Fahea, but then he beats Oralbai, and we know what a stud Oralbai on the ground is, right? So if he can beat Oralbai, man, he's looking good. Let's look at the odds here. Rebecca is a -200, so he's a 2-1 favorite. So this is interesting, though. Basically what's happening is Nico and Rich are both taking the Scotsman. They're taking the underdog, but Wally's holding the fort, and I'm taking the Polish power, and I'm taking Rebecca. He's solid. I say he does it here. We get to the new updated main event. Taira versus Park. Taira number 6 in the world. Park coming in. He's going way up in class here. Let's just look at the records. Taira 16-1. Park 10-0. So in that sense, it is pretty big. What are the odds here, baby? Taira -370. I really want to take Park. Let's just look at what they've done here. So if you look at Park, his blitzkrieg through people, he's got a submission, KO, submission. So he's really hot here. This is going to end up being a pretty tantalizing fight. But if you look at Taira, man, he was mowing through, he was grappling, he was beating everybody, and then he finally runs into Royval, and then Royval is able to kind of deal with the wrestling somewhat, get in better strikes, hang in there, and he wins the split decision. So Taira is coming off his first loss here, so we got to see how he rebounds. But I gotta say, the odds are just too much for me here. So even though I'd like to be risky and take Park and make it a little bit fun, all 3 savvy bros are taking Taira. We're taking the smart bet. Park coming in on short notice. Taira being too good on the ground. I just don't trust Park enough to take him here. So it's been salvaged, but Dana, come on, bro. Get a better co-main, so if this happens, we're not looking at a card like this. And I'm going to break more news. Ulberg versus Reyes just got announced. Remember, in the light heavyweight division analysis, I was just talking about how Ulberg at the number 3 spot might have to fight down to a Reyes who's a number 8. Looks like he's doing it. So, boom, I'm spot on. September 27th in Australia. Ulberg Reyes, great fight, because now the winner of that will also propel to be possibly right in that title contention discussion. I really like the fight. I wanted to break the news here. So Ulberg Reyes now has been booked. Okay, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening to the MMA Savvy podcast, the world's top place for MMA content. If you like these weekly episodes, make sure to hit subscribe. And if you're a real MMA enthusiast, check out the old MMA Savvy videos on our page. You might see some UFC legends pop up, such as Fabricio Verdum, Ronda Rousey, and John Jones. The old channel has been revived, and we couldn't be more excited. Please subscribe, follow, comment, like, share on all of our social channels. We're blasting hard on the talk, we're heavy on the gram, and we're going crazy on the tube. That's at MMA Savvy. And make sure to comment and challenge our takes if you have disagreements. We love the comments and interactions with the fans. So with that, stay savvy, fight fans.